Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Saturday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. Very shortly, we'll be reading a very, very interesting article about Doctor Who from Screen Rant, where they claim that this whole Timeless Child storyline is actually bringing back the kind of storyline that they were going to do with Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, when they tried to claim that literally the Doctor is God himself. We're going to read that very shortly, but I want to talk about something, because there's one thing for sure. No matter what people think of me and what I say, I know that Torchwood is coming back in 2022. I know that Captain Jack will be in Doctor Who this Christmas, and it will set up what happens in this brand new series of Torchwood. It's not going to be a reboot or anything, but it will kind of put Captain Jack back in a relaunched hub in Wales. So it's all very exciting. Now, people are calling me a liar because, as you know, I played you a piece of a live Instagram video John Barrowman did, teasing an announcement today about something he'd be doing, a show, and the company would be announcing it too. And he winked. Basically, John Barrowman's very clever at innuendo, trying to make us think something's happening with Doctor Who or Torchwood just to get people's attention so he can announce kind of his designer clothes label. So he's got some attention. Well, this time, he's really done it this time, John. And I still love John Barrowman. He's great. But this time he decided to announce it was nothing to do with Torchwood or Doctor Who. It was about him being in pantomime in Snow White. And I'm sure everyone will go there and enjoy it. John's a great laugh. He's very talented. It's not about that. Now, I assume from what he said the other day that it was going to be a Torchwood or a Doctor Who announcement. But that doesn't change anything. I still know for a fact that Torchwood is coming back. I still know for a fact that he's going to be in Doctor Who at Christmas time. So I wasn't lying. Now, I just assumed that what he was talking about was to confirm what I already know. So I wasn't lying to you. If anyone kind of misled you, it was John. And that's fine, because he's always doing it, and he's John, and we love him. But anyway, so can you stop the abuse over on Twitter, please? I've already had to kind of block someone because they believed that I was trolling them, and I wasn't. I know for a fact Torchwood is coming back. It's just not confirmed yet. But hold your horses. All these things will be announced in due course. Should we read that Screen Rant article? Because it kind of interests me, because I want to talk about this. Doctor Who completes the original series cancelled story. The finale of Doctor Who Season 12 completed a storyline that was meant to be introduced during the era of the Seventh Doctor, at the tail end of the classic series. The so-called Cartmel masterplan. Now, this is very famous. It's something we never saw, but we knew he's a masterplan. So, was intended to establish the Doctor as a legendary figure with ties to the foundation of the Time Lords. And the Timeless Children has accomplished that. So let's talk about this before we read on. It's pretty clear to me that Chibnal knew about this and kind of was pissed off that it never happened. And he thought, right, I was a fan all those years ago. I didn't have the power to make sure that happened. Now I have the power, so I'm going to do it. I have no issue with the Timeless Child reveal, and we'll talk more. Really, it's just repeating what I've already said, but we'll go through my issues with the Chibnal era and what I like and what I don't like. Written by current Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnal, The Timeless Children was the culmination of a season full of mysteries. The season started with the introduction of a new master, Sacha Dhawan, who destroyed the Time Lords after learning of a great secret their elders had hidden away for eons. The ongoing story of Doctor Who Season 12 also suggested that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor might not be fully aware of her entire past and may have had her memories altered at some point. For all the complaints many fans made that Chibnal was trying to change too much of the show's mythology, most of what he has done falls perfectly in line with a rejected idea formulated by a script editor, Andrew Cartmel. Now, I remember Andrew very well. He was a very, very bold figure, great guy, by the way. Very talented guy as well. But the BBC decided not to do it because they knew what was going to happen. They knew how people would react. So they said no. That would have changed Doctor Who in a similarly radical fashion. While very little of the Cartmel master plan made it onto the air, portions of it would later find their way into the Doctor Who novels of the 1990s. While Chibnall's designs are decidedly different, they still accomplish the same ultimate ends. And by the way, we don't know what he's alluding to, who and what the Doctor actually is, right? Because the storyline's not finished yet. She literally could be God. We don't know. It could be exactly how Andrew Cartmel was trying to do it. So, we'll have to keep on watching. Well, some of us are not. I certainly will be. Doctor Who found itself in dire straits throughout the 1980s, with the BBC under the control of an executive who described the show as garbage, and a showrunner whose aesthetics ideals clashed with the dominant undercurrent of the popular science fiction of the time, i.e. make it look like Star Wars. It is no wonder that the show underwent significant retooling before going on hiatus between its 22nd and 23rd season. While opinion is still divided among Whovians as to who was most responsible for Doctor Who's failing fortunes throughout the 1980s, it can't be denied that the show's ratings dropped steadily as fan interest waned. But again, before we read on, let's talk about that. I remember it being cancelled. It was a very, very dark day. But the reason people stopped watching it is because of the way it was being run. You can't blame people. People will support something. People will always support Doctor Who. But when you're taking it and breaking its back, and very similarly to what's going on now. So that's why it's not just, the ratings were low. We've got to talk about why the ratings were low, surely. Enter Andrew Cartmel, an inexperienced author and editor who was hired on as Doctor Who's script editor for season 24. At the same time, actor Sylvester McCoy was brought into the series as the Seventh Doctor. Cartmel had an unusual take on why Doctor Who was declining in popularity. To Cartmel, the issue was not that there was no place for the Doctor in the modern world, or that the show looked too low budget. The problem was that the sense of mystery which surrounded the Doctor and his race, the Time Lords, had been slowly eroded. He's got a point though. By stories like Arc of Infinity and the Trial of the Time Lord, which turned the once unknowable guardians of time and space into a group of squabbling bureaucrats in robes and funny hats. Again, has a point. With writers Ben Aronovich and Mark Platt, Cartmel began developing the idea that the Doctor was far more than a renegade Time Lord. It was Cartmel's intention that this would be slowly suggested through bits and pieces of dialogue slipped into various episodes. The ultimate goal of this teasing would be the revelation that the Doctor was one of the Time Lord's founders, a mysterious being known only as the Other. See, this is very interesting because I didn't really know much about this before. What type of Doctor Who fan are you, Mick? A passionate one. I just don't know everything. Cartmel's design was later dubbed the Cartmel Master Plan by fans, though writer Mark Platt denied that there was ever a formal plan as such. Well, whether you outlined it or you didn't, or you just discussed it over coffee down the pub or something, it was still a plan that was aborted. Still, the trio did manage to work several suggestions of the basic idea of the Doctor hiding some great secret of his past and having abilities far beyond those of a common Time Lord into a number of stories during season 24, 25 and 26. Unfortunately, most of these suggestions were written out of the show by showrunner John Nathan Turner, who was notorious for rewriting scripts that conflicted with his ideas of what Doctor Who should be. Despite this, Cartmel, Platt and Aronovich were able to pass most of their ideas on to Peter Darvill Evans, editor on the new Doctor Who Adventures book line, which took on a new life after the show went on a second hiatus in 1989. The central conceit of the Cartmel's master plan was the development of a triumvirate of Time Lords who were responsible for the advancement of their race. Previous stories had already established two key Time Lord figures, Omega, the stellar engineer whose experiments developed the power source that gave the Time Lords the energy necessary to travel through time, and Rassilon, the founder of the Time Lord Society and their first Lord High President. Cartmel proposed a third figure, the Other, who would simultaneously be the most powerful and most mysterious of the triumvirate, as well as the designer of the first TARDIS. Various legends would describe the other as having been born on a world apart from Gallifrey, possibly a different dimension, and having come forward in time to give them his advanced knowledge. Interesting, because this is sounding a little bit similar to the Timeless Child reveal. The end game of the Cartmel master plan would be the revelation that the Doctor was the other, either a reincarnation of the legendary Time Lord founder or a future regeneration who had gone into hiding for an undetermined reasons. Only a few fragments of the Cartmel master plan made it into the shooting scripts, and most of these were vague hints voiced by enemies with something of the Doctor's secret past. One of these was Lady Paintfault, the chief villain of the episode Silver Nemesis, who claimed to have knowledge of the Doctor's actions during the dark times of ancient Gallifrey. Another was a Morgaine sorcerer queen from another dimension who claimed that she had battled the Doctor before when he had used the name Merlin. The most over hint at the Doctor's secret past as the other came in the season 25 premiere Remembrance of the Daleks. It was here that the Seventh Doctor and his companion Ace returned to Earth to recover a Time Lord artifact called the Hand of Omega, which the Doctor had left behind in one of his earlier incarnations. The Doctor described the artifact and its power to Ace, muttering to himself, "And didn't we have trouble with the prototype?" When Ace asked what he meant by "we," the Doctor quickly corrected himself and said he meant they. While the name of the other is not mentioned in The Timeless Children, the finale of Doctor Who Season 12 accomplishes the same end as Cartmel's master plan. Ironically, while Doctor Who is not facing the cancellation fears it did in the 80s, many critics and fans have complained about the series being in a similar creative rut. One frequently cited concern is that former showrunner Stephen Moffat went too far in trying to explain various aspects of the Doctor's past and the science of the Time Lord regeneration, and that as before much of the mystery surrounding the character had been destroyed. For better or worse, the current showrunner Chris Chibnal worked to restore that mystery throughout season 12, first by arranging the destruction of Gallifrey and the Time Lords at the hands of a new incarnation of the Doctor's arch enemy, the Master, then by introducing a new wrinkle that the Doctor was an unreliable narrator who had no clue as to the truth of her own past. This conceit was further compounded by the introduction of Ruth, a never-before-seen incarnation of the Doctor, who doesn't fit into previous established succession of the Doctor's regenerations. The Timeless Children offered an explanation for all of this by establishing the Doctor as a grown-up version of a legendary figure known as the Timeless Child. The Master revealed the truth behind the lie upon which Time Lord society was built to the Doctor, explaining that an early Time Lord explorer and a scientist named Tech-Te-Yun had discovered a child standing before a portal to another reality. Adopting the child as her own, Tech-Te-Yun would later discover that the alien child could not die and would regenerate into a new body any time she suffered a fatal injury. Tech-Te-Yun studied the so-called Timeless Child, eventually discovering the means by which the alien child was able to heal itself and introducing the element into the Time Lord's biology. The Doctor also experienced flashbacks to memories regarding a Time Lord organisation called the Division, which of course is very vital, which apparently recruited the Timeless Child as an agent to clip them, with subtly altering the timeline by averting great disaster. While this seemingly explains why the Doctor was afforded so much latitude by the Time Lord establishment in her rebellious behaviour over the years, as she violated the laws regarding interfering in the affairs of other planets, the answers Chibnall offers in The Timeless Children only yield more question. It is unclear now just how extensive the Doctor's past is, and what role she might have played in the Time Lord society beyond being the source of their immortality. However, the greatest revelation to come from the latest Doctor Who story is that the Doctor is now, as Andrew Cartmel intended some 3 decades earlier, a figure of mystery whose past is tied to the origins of the Time Lords. A very, 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 very good article. I must find out who wrote this, actually. This is by Matt Morrison. Well done, Matt. That was brilliant. It was so in-depth, and I learned things about this. So the Cartmel master plan, I've been watching videos about this, and it's been very interesting to delve into it. So It's obvious Chibnal wanted to bring this back. He knows the whole master plan. Basically, the Timeless Child, as the author of this article is saying, is pretty much the Cartnal master plan. So will he bring it all into effect? Because this is just the beginning. We don't know if the Doctor is the Timeless Child. Hey, what if the Doctor is actually Tecteun? Right, but think about this, right? I mean, I've got loads up here about all this. This is what's so great about it. That's why I'm not pissed off. I don't think this is the problem with the Chibnal era. We'll discuss that more in a minute. But what if the Doctor is actually Tecteun and the Master is the Timeless Child? And it was the Doctor who experimented on the Master and used and filleted the Master for his regeneration energy. And what if the Master found that out when he went into the Matrix, but instead of revealing that to the Doctor, he turns the whole thing on his head and he punishes the Doctor in other ways. Firstly, by destroying Time Lord Society, destroying Gallifrey, because it was built on his DNA. And that's why he's angry. That's why he's gone more insane than ever. And the Master's always been insane. But this is a new version of insanity. Because basically, the Cartnal Master Plan works here if the Doctor is in fact Tecteun. But after regretting everything that she did, she wiped her memory and she renamed herself the Doctor, right? She is the creator of Time Lord Society. She has this past she's ashamed of. So it's not actually the Doctor who's from this other universe, right? This other place. It's actually the Master. The Master was this innocent child that the Doctor used for his regeneration energy. Now, wouldn't that be a great arc? And for Chibnal to be adapting, the Cartnal master plan, right? And I think he is, by the way. I think this is a fan saying they should have done that. They should have had the balls to do this. And I think this is where he's heading with this. So I'm very, very interested. This is why I'm really, really interested to see how this develops. So wouldn't it be nice in the season 13 and the Christmas special, we finally see some personality from this Doctor and she captivates us finally as the Doctor. Because what Chibnal is attempting is awesome, good, and very bold, very bold. And I ain't got a problem with that. My problem, and I know I've said I still understand why people are upset, and I do see the other side of it, but it doesn't mean it's not exciting. So if he can develop this Doctor and whoever he's going to replace Ryan and Graham with, if we can have some good companions, maybe Noel Clarke's Mickey Smith, that will be interesting. Mickey and Yaz on the same TARDIS, that could be interesting as well. Maybe, hey, Martha Jones, Mickey and Yaz. I know we're saying 3 companions is too much. It's not. It's about being able to develop characters. It doesn't matter how many people you have on the TARDIS. That's not the issue. Chris just has to learn how to make all these characters interesting and appealing. But this Cartnal master plan, I've found it very exciting ever since I heard about it. And I didn't even know about this. I didn't know this when I watched the finale. It's only because I've been delving deep lately. So this is an exciting element of this. And this is something that I do look forward to. But I want to know what you think about the master plan. Is Chibnal right to adapt this? Or should he have left well enough alone? I think it's exciting, ambitious and bold. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back on Sunday with more Doctor Who Daily. See you again soon. See you later.